How you doing, Dennis?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Good.
Welcome to the March 11th, 2024 meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. We'll have an invocation offered by Commissioner Waddington, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
God our Father, as we gather for the meeting this evening, give us the guidance and wisdom to make the proper decisions. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're already flashing here.
Myers, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Here.
Ms. Fargo? Here. Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Pajali?
Here.
Mr. Coons?
Here.
Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of February the 26th, 2024. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajali.
I move that we accept the minutes of the February 26th meeting as presented.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion be approved. And hearing no objection, that motion is approved. We have the pleasure of swearing in a new firefighter this evening. Yeah. And that is why we have such a large crowd of uniformed firemen in the corner of the room, which is always good to see. Mr. Orzak, will you perform this honor for us?
Yes, sir.
I love this.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
Yeah, they just added this out.
Raise your right hand. I, Keishon Hunter, recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I, Keishon Hunter, recognize my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the State of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the State of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
Chief, unless you had a grab, you had to mention that.
Through you, President Brady, Keishon is a 2021 graduate of Sandusky High School, and he and his family both live in Sandusky. In 2022, Keishon had a basement fire in his house, and that's what kind of motivated him to pursue a career in the fire service. After experiencing that house fire, Keishon attended EHOVI, got his Firefighter 1 and 2 certifications, along with his EMT. Keishon's going to be on number 2 shift under the direction of Captain Matt Lesh. We'd just like to welcome Keishon to the City of Sandusky and wish him good luck in his new career.
It's awesome.
That's obviously one of the best parts of these meetings.
Yeah.
Any residents with comments regarding tonight's agenda, please step up to the podium. Share with us your name and address and your agenda items.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission, staff. 3 items. Liquor license for 317 East Washington Street. This is under a different LLC from 2020, and I noticed in 2020 that you all requested a public hearing on the liquor license for that due to the fact that there was no concrete plan for that property. I'm wondering if we're going to ask for a public hearing for this one as well. found out last week through the county that the property owners are again delinquent on their property taxes, so not really too sure if we should be approving a liquor license for a property that is delinquent on property taxes. Number 2 is the installation of docks at the Shelby Street ramp. I know that the city has a schedule of putting those ramps in, but I think it might be time to change that schedule. We're waiting until April to put them in the past. It's time to move it up into March. Everybody else has their docks in. Ice is gone. Our facility at the boat ramp has a heater inside of the boat ramp building, so there's not a problem with freezing pipes. So let's get that done if we can. Also a question on item number 3, which is the mural on the east side of the Mailander Pavilion at the Jackson Street Pier. Perhaps an explanation on why we're doing on the east side where nobody can see it compared to the west side. Maybe there's windows on the west side or some other reason, but I'd like to have an explanation on that. That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Schwanger. Additional comments on agenda item?
Catherine Carter, 5309 Columbus Avenue. Again, I hear about parking, and again, I have to ask the question, where is the convenient parking that was promised for the Jackson Street Pier ferry systems after you took out more than 200 parking spaces after when you remodeled Jackson Street Pier? You spent a lot of money on Jackson Street parking lot, and now you're going to tear it up for something else. I didn't know that was a plan to spend that kind of money instead of just throwing some blacktop on it if you're going to tear it back up. That parking is going to be gone for the convenience of the ferry systems. They're important to the city. Where is this promised convenient parking going to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Oh, it's Reese. It's quicker.
Good evening. My name is Carl McGookie. I live at 615 Columbus Avenue. I'm speaking to the Columbus Avenue streetscape bid item. Been a resident of near downtown Sandusky since 1983. My wife and I bought our house, as I said, over 40 years ago, hoping to see the revitalization of downtown, expecting it in 10 to 15 years. It took 25 to 30. But we've been pleased with what's gone on downtown and the convenience of living close to downtown. In addition to living downtown, I've served on committees going back to downtown waterfront development, which was the precursor to the Bayfront Corridor Committee, and I've served on that since 1985. I was a business owner in downtown Sandusky from 1983 to 2019 when I retired from my business, and I was also a property owner downtown from 2000 to approximately 2017. So I'm very well aware of the issues that are pervasive in the debate of the Columbus Avenue Streetscape project. They're nothing new. Parking has been the prime topic, believe it or not, since 1985. We've had issues with parking. We have the same issues with parking, a lot of them during the day, because business owners and employees still insist on parking in front of their business and keeping customers and other visitors to downtown away from the most convenient parking. The idea, or the only cure to that, which worked for a number of years, was active enforcement of the parking limitations on the streets. And that did work, because I saw it on Washington Row, and I saw it on West Market Street when my businesses were located there. There will never be a perfect solution to parking. We can wait 10, 20 years as we continue to expand the State Theater and offerings downtown. There will be more people downtown. It will cause some parking issues at some times, but not all the time. And we can't build to those peaks. We have to provide alternatives when those peaks happen. I want to see continued progress. Matter of fact, my wife and I supported some of you for your campaigns for the promise of continued progress downtown. and I would urge you to move on with this. I'm not getting any younger, and I would like to, and my classmates back there laughing at me, I don't know about that, but I'm not getting any younger, and I would like to see Columbus Avenue streetscape happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you,
And
Mr. McGooky.
thank you.
Additional comments on agenda items?
Good evening. I'm Jeff Berquist. I live at 629 Edgewater Avenue. My comments are also on Jackson Street. I'm not here to say I'm pro or I'm con. I'm here to say I don't know enough facts yet. But I am here to tell you a little story. And when I used to teach,
I hope that it fits in the 3 minutes you have.
okay, I'll talk faster.
Good.
The little story goes in, God comes down to Noah. He says, Noah, why don't you build me a boat? He said, okay, I'll build you a boat. He says, but there's 3 things on this boat you have to do. He said, 1, it's got to be on time. 2, it's got to be on budget. And 3, I need you to finish that other little project over here that's already not on time and not on budget. Noah said, I don't know, God, I'm just a man. God said, don't worry about it. I have great faith in you. He said, God, you're knowing, you're seeing. You've seen my track record on the other 3 projects that all were over budget, behind schedule, and not on time. God said, no, you'll do better this time. He said, well, I know I don't want to piss off God. I don't want to turn into salt because I've seen what happened to other people who pissed off God. He said, okay, I'll get my boys involved. I'll do what I can. He said, oh, while you're doing those 2 things, keep an eye on the new hotel that's going up on private property that we own. See what impact that may be. I can tell you right now, as somebody that has a business downtown on West Washington Road and Jackson Street, there's a parking problem right now when Karen's here is open on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Because they are elderly people and try and get downtown. I realize that we must move forward, but what I haven't seen answers to or even brought up to my knowledge is, what about Bike Week? That brings in a lot of money early in the season. Millions. The Sandusky Shores and Islands will tell you. What about the car shows? I bring my antique car down here for the car shows. I haven't seen really anything on that. I would like to see what impact this project's going to have on the spur streets, the ones that run east and west off Columbus Avenue. I've talked to some of these people, and they're very concerned. They won't come and talk because they don't want to be naysayers. But I've talked to some of these people on Market, on Shore, on Washington Row, that are very concerned about this. Nor have I heard anybody say that I've heard about snow and, God forbid, a fire. How are we going to address them? I thank you for your time and consideration. I know you'll do the best for the city.
Thank you, sir.
And hi, Jennifer Torres. I live on Market Street, and also just wanted to talk about the Columbus Ave. When I first saw it, I was so excited. It reminded me of places I see when I go on vacation, and I was shocked that people are against it because of the few parking spots that we're going to lose. I just wanted to vow my support for it. And just say, too, like, I think we all can help in gaining those spots back. I'm in every restaurant, every business. We have 4 generations of my family have lived here, and I want this city to be amazing for the next 4 generations of my family. I also see the business owners, all the employees and construction workers taking up some of the best parking spots. So I wanted to repeat what Mr. McGooky said, like, let's all be part of the solution and help bring back some of those spots for the patrons. We can all walk and make ourselves a little uncomfortable and give back some of those spots. So
Thank you,
that's
Ms.
all.
Torres.
Yep.
Hi, my name's Hornet Parthmore, and I want to give a little bit different perspective and not talk about the Columbus Avenue and not talk about parking. As many of you know, I'm of an age. I have retired, which is very exciting. I bring my friends and my family down here because ladies of my age often go out on excursions. And when we go out on our excursions, we like to go to lunch. We like to go walk around and look at the shops. One of the things that we found is that the places that are most attractive to us are the places with beautiful wide sidewalks, with places we can sit down. And when we go there, and this actually happened a couple of months ago, we went to Crush to eat, walked by Fabulous Female because there weren't any parking spots right in front, but by walking by, we saw some things in the windows we'd like to buy. That day, we walked across the street, we had a cup of coffee at Mr. Smith's, and I saw the little hippie shop that's open down there. Didn't even know it was there. That's the kind of thing that you need to generate. You need to have people walking around so they see the little shops, so they see the little restaurants. We have this parking garage that I noticed was about 75% empty when I came in tonight. There's plenty of parking there. I have arthritis, I'm old, I have had 2 knee replacements, and yet I love the opportunity to walk around down here. And if I have to walk on one of the side streets, I find the other little shops on the side streets. That's the kind of thing that we need to look at when we look at what's happening on what's proposed for Columbus Avenue. We are creating an atmosphere that's going to bring people into town. That's what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parthmore.
Greetings, Commissioners. Tom Lamarck, 206 48th Street. Again, I had no intentions to come up here and speak tonight, but and I am not a naysayer. I am not against this project in any way. I wish you would tweak it a little bit. I think it needs tweaked. But so many people in the city of Sandusky think that the city owns that parking garage. We do not. The city of Sandusky does not own that parking garage, and I don't believe we have a memorandum of understanding with the county that we shall continue to use it as we do now, free. In fact, I know the couple times last year it was closed down for whatever purpose. Maybe it was Bike Week or a couple years before that, but we've got nothing there. Yes, it's a county garage. They may leave it open, they may not. They may charge residents to use it, they may not. So that's it. Yeah, there's plenty of parking. We'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamarck. Additional comments on agenda items? Seeing no one rushing to the podium, we will move on. Commissioners, you have before you several communications from staff recommending various pieces of legislation. Can I have a motion to accept those communications?
So moved. Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved, and hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 10 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do any of you wish to move any of those items to the regular agenda? Ms. Myers, you present the consent agenda, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Item A, liquor license for Bar 44870. Item B, approval of payment for annual software support fee for Software Solutions. Item C, approval of payment for software application renewal to Kronos. Item D, approval of grant submission for water rescue with Firehouse Subs Foundation. Item E, approval of grant submission for EMS to Department of Public Safety. Item F, approval of First Amendment to Easy Agreement with Firelands Federal Credit Union. Item G, accepting non-productive property into land bank at 1329 Huntington Ave. Item H, approval of MOU with Erie County Board of Health for demo at 917 Jackson Street Extension. Item I, approval of change order 1 and final for Columbus Avenue Lift Station Project. Item J, accepting the plat and dedication of city-owned property for Sandusky Bay Pathway.
Commissioners, having heard these liquor license ordinances and resolutions, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda items A through J and declaring that all ordinances and resolutions as drafted and presented to the City Commission shall take effect in accordance with the sections reflected either in 13 or 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Hastings, I wonder if you would be the person most likely to answer the question regarding the liquor license. I would hope you'll amplify on what my understanding is, that we have very little say in the liquor license application. The fact that the person may or may not be delinquent in their taxes is not a reason that we've ever used to have a hearing. No police activity, negative police activity on that property, that certainly is typically a reason to ask for a hearing. We do not have that. Is there any reason why we should consider asking for a hearing, that legal reason you can think of?
Yeah, we cannot think of something right now. I mean, again, the taxes are collected by the county. The liquor license is actually controlled by the state of Ohio. So we could request a hearing, but.
Thank you. That's my understanding also. I just wanted that written into the record. Was there another question on consent items? I think the other questions are on the regular agenda. Ms. Myers, would you call roll on the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes, except abstain on item F.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the liquor license ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes, except abstain again on item F.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Those liquor license ordinance and resolutions are passed on the consent agenda. We're now turned to our regular agenda, and I'm going to make a game time decision here, in that I'm going to guess that most of our people in the audience are interested in getting to supper tonight at some regular time. I don't think this commission is going to make it at any regular time, so I'm going to take the privilege of moving item 6 to item 1 and deal with that, item 6 as item 1. Ms. Myers, if you present item 1, please.
This is the second reading. Resolution. It is requested a resolution be passed declaring the necessity for the city to proceed with the proposed Columbus Avenue reconstruction and streetscape project, approving the specifications and engineer's estimate of costs thereof, and directing the city manager to advertise for and receive bids in relation thereto, and declaring that this resolution shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. We have already had this. This is a second reading, so we've already had a motion. We do not need a motion to proceed. We will move directly to discussion on this item. Commissioners, questions or comments on this piece of legislation?
Mr. President, if I can make a comment real quick. We've had extensive questions and concerns from the commissioners that have gone throughout this process for this plan. Staff has worked on that, and many of the questions and concerns that the commissioners have had over the course of the last 2 weeks. I want to thank Aaron Blair, Colleen, for putting together a downtown parking action plan that I've supplied all the commissioners with. It is our commitment by myself and staff to put that plan into action over the course of this year and next year. We will update the commission as things progress with that plan and kind of where we're at with it. But I just want the commission and the public to know that we wholeheartedly took all of the concerns that we've had addressed either by commissioners or the public, and tried to come up with solution to that. So just want that into the record, that the action plan has been provided to the commission clerk, and we're going to start that if the project moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orzak. Additional comments or questions, Commissioners, on this piece of legislation?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I want to thank City Manager Orzak. I met with him on Friday, and with that communication and a follow-up call with John, I'm more comfortable than I was before to vote on this, so I appreciate that, John.
Additional comments?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Varga.
I too want to thank City Manager John Orzak and Colleen Gilson and Aaron Blair and all the people who have contacted me over the last 2 weeks, and listening to your concerns going forward with this project. Just to go back real quickly, and I just want to say, I think it's good that we ask questions. I think it's been one of the times that we've had dialogue that people have really come together and work together to come to solutions. And so I'm really excited that we've done that. I think going forward, one of the things I've also proposed to our staff is that we take a look at maybe some sort of I don't know if you want to call it a committee or a steering committee or a stakeholder committee, people that are residents, people who are business owners, come and work with staff on issues that we're dealing with our downtown businesses, with whether it's this project or another project. We need to have more transparency with people talking with each other. We need to have better dialogue. So I hope that that's something that we're going to be looking into. I know I talked to Aaron, I talked to John about that, and I think it's really important going forward that people understand what's going on from the beginning. And I'm sure they did 3 years ago, but 3 years later, here we are, and there's been a lot of questions. So I just want to thank you all for all the work that you've done, and I'm looking forward to the future of downtown for sure.
Thank you, Ms. Varga. Additional comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Coons.
I too wanted to thank City Manager for the work that he did, as well as the staff for getting back to us all, particularly with regard to the questions that I had. I think that I heard 2 residents today that said something that I think is really important. And one said that, the plan needs tweaking, right? I heard somebody else say, you can put in all the work in the world and there's still probably be something that you overlooked that you didn't accomplish. But the bottom line is, from my perspective, is that that can be done as you work toward trying to do the development, right? You can begin to work toward making sure that you've covered your bases as it relates to parking. I could be wrong, but this is how I see it. I feel that there's something else that I didn't say before, but I really think it's important in this discussion based on what I've learned, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, but this project originated maybe 4 to 5 years ago. And if it originated 4 to 5 years ago, there were plenty opportunities before to address some questions. Now, when I went back into the records, I saw only one commissioner who actually voted no for anything related to this project, and it was on design. That commissioner was the only one that I saw. So now I'm not saying that to take a jab at anybody, but had the same kinds of questions been asked at that time, during that time, then we would have probably addressed most of those by now. So I'm saying all that to say that, I'm in this place now where I'm ready to roll, right? And at the same time that I'm ready to roll, I like to speak for other citizens and other residents of this city. I know that there are other projects and things that we can be working on that are related to the neighborhoods. And I'm going to be working diligently to make sure that we try to address those needs. One of those is affordable housing. So I just wanted to say that right now. But as it relates to this project, I'm comfortable with the questions that I asked and the answers that I received. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Crable.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, and the public. I, too, as has been expressed, have been very taken with the amount of effort that has gone into by staff, by John and his office and his personnel to get information out to the commissioners. as you will see when the vote comes up, I am not yet convinced that this is a project that is ready to move forward at this point. But that's fine, because this body does not operate off of the opinion of one or two or three people. It operates as a whole. And I have great respect for everyone that sits up here. I think it's important that everyone understand the degree of the sheer amount of time that we all put in to read as much as we can, to make as phone calls as many as we can, and to come to a point where we feel comfortable when we take a vote. I am comfortable with my vote. Matter of fact, very much so. I want to echo something that Commissioner Kunz just said, and that is there are many things to focus on. Many. This job, it's remarkable how many there are. But the one thing that I am going to be very laser focused on is housing and our neighborhoods. And it's one of the things that causes me to kind of step back from this project, because I hear the concerns that people have that we're spending another $5 million downtown. Okay? And what are we getting for it? And could some of that money not be spent on something in the neighborhoods to make, lives of ordinary Sandusky citizens better? So this is where my focus is. And you'll hear a lot from me going forward on this, and I'm sure from Richard as well, and Kate. And I mean, I think it's a unifying issue that all the commissioners can come together on. But I'm very pleased to have seen the degree of conversation and the exchange of information, and to the extent that this can be a jumping off point to have more of that going forward, I think the community has been well served.
Thank you, Mr. Crable. Additional comments or commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pajala.
I would just like to echo all the comments that have been made up around the table about staff. I've always had a lot of confidence in staff, and they came through again. Somebody mentioned to me that the crux of this issue is a parking management problem, and I tend to believe there's some truth in that. I never wanted to suggest that there is a parking problem. I think we've got parking congestion right now. I'm just trying to look ahead at what could be in the future, since we do want to become a destination and we do talk about all this development coming. I just hope that in the future, when issues like this come up, we can agree to disagree and talk about these things, because when you can't talk about these things, that's bad government. And I want to have good government around this table. I do have one question for Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, could you, I've only been on the commission for 2 years. Could you kind of walk through the bid process for me?
Yeah, through the commission president, yes, what we would do is we would advertise for bids on a project like this. State law is, I think, 15 days. I think you can do longer if you want. Then you accept bids and you analyze the bids for lowest and best. Typically, you award to the lowest bidder. You check all the boxes, you do all the research, check with the state, make sure they're current with everything and they don't have any taxes that they owe, and there's not any debarment or anything like that, and you go through that whole process. And if they are determined to be the lowest and best bidder, you award to that, you come back to commission and you the request to award the project. You can accept alternate bids based on the budget, and those alternate bids, then you enter into a contract and move forward if it's approved at commission. So once the bids are accepted, it would come back to commission for award.
So is the bid rejected if it's 10% over or 10% less than the estimate?
Through the commission president, it's not 10% less necessarily, but 10% over. We do have in our charter, I believe it's anything over 10% over the engineer's estimate, it has to be rejected.
And then you would bring that bid back to us, and we would decide on the two alternate bids if we want to move ahead with those, if that's within if we accept this bid.
Through the commission president, the alternate bids would be typically for pieces of the project, like you might break something out. It wouldn't be for the entire project. So you can, if the base bid is under the engineer's estimate and there's still room to award one of the alternates, you would award that alternate. If the base bid is not under the engineer's estimate or within that 10%, you'd have to go back to the drawing board, redesign a component or portion of the project, and then bring it back for a rebid.
Okay, and for this particular project, we do have two alternate bids, right? That are going to go out with the base?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Additional comments, Commissioner? As the president of this commission, I have the obligation of setting the agenda. This includes what legislation comes before us during our meetings. Most of that legislation is kind of mundane. Purchasing chemicals, software, putting a roof on a building, outfitting our firemen with fireman suits. Then there are the big projects, like we're here about tonight. But by the time that legislation comes before our commission, on Monday nights, our staff has put in countless hours behind-the-scenes work on these major projects that are being proposed, the projects like Streetscape. In a perfect world, commissioners have had input and worked on the details of these projects, and we've had time to ask questions of staff, vet the project, and discuss the terms contained on the agenda. This project spanned two very different commissions. This is always going to be a challenge. I think we all realize that not every question can be answered, and that every detail can be completely worked out, much like Mr. McGookie indicated, and much like my friend Commissioner Murray has indicated. There's always going to be some uncertainty involved. But our obligation is to minimize that uncertainty to an acceptable level. That's what all the questions and all the answers are about. In about 2 minutes, we're going to find out if we've been successful in doing that. I'd like to thank our city manager and our staff for their round-the-clock work in the last 2 weeks on the questions that have been presented to them by commissioners on this piece of legislation. Nobody believed you could do that, except me. You performed flawlessly. As president of the commission, I'm proud of the robust discussion that has been spurred by my fellow commissioners, and I look forward to the continuing progress that lies right in front of us on so many projects that are directly in front of this commission. Ms. Myers, will you call the roll on that resolution?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
No.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That resolution passes by a 6-1 vote, and it will take immediate effect. Ms. Myers, will you present item number 2, please?
Yes, Mr. President. It is requested a resolution be passed declaring the necessity for the city to proceed with the proposed Cedar Point Causeway Wetlands 2024 Temporary Seeding Plan Project, approving the specifications and engineer's estimate of costs thereof, and directing the city manager to advertise for and receive bids in relation thereto, and declaring that this resolution shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this resolution, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this resolution under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Margie, call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Abstain?
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the resolution.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Abstain?
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That resolution is passed. As far as you present the next item on the agenda, because I've lost count.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a 3-year contract with Holcomb Enterprises LLC of Port Clinton, Ohio for the seasonal dock installation and removal services at the Shelby Street Boat Launch Facility and Pipe Creek Wildlife Canoe Launch beginning in spring 2024 and ending in fall 2026, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Coons.
move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules as contained in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. I think there was a question regarding
Timing.
the timing of the docks. Mr. Whirling?
Through you, Commission President, to the Commission, Mr. Schwanger. I thought everybody here was here to talk about the docks, but apparently. The docks have been, through over the years, it's kind of been flexible between Mother Nature letting us get those in each year. Usually it's around the first week in April that we schedule those and we take them out anywhere from November to the last week of November. So that's something that is dictated by Mother Nature and how Sandusky Bay is whether it's frozen or not. So with this 3-year agreement, that gives us flexibility to move that date up even further if we have sort of the Ohio weather that we've had this past for the spring, and hopefully sunny on April 8th for the eclipse too.
Thank you, Mr. Whirling.
Yep.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners? Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 3.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Greetings Tour Incorporated of Pasadena, California for professional services to recreate the Greetings from Sandusky mural at the Mylander Pavilion, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of this ordinance resolution under suspension of the rules in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
there was an interesting question about why we chose the side of the pavilion that we did. Mr. Whirling, I wonder if, with your permission, if he might address the question of citing the mural on the east versus the west side of the building.
Through the Commission President to Commissioner Murray, that side was chosen due to the space that's on there. It's about a 10-foot by 20-foot mural. We have a storage door on the west side of the building, and we have the windows that and the access door on that side, so the space wasn't large enough.
What about
lighting? There's string lighting on that side to that access.
Mr. Crable, did you have a question?
Indeed. I'm brimming with questions. What about the south side, the street-facing side? Or what about the north side? Well, the north side's all windows.
North side's all windows,
Yeah.
and the south side has the door right in the middle, plus we've got, there isn't enough room on that side to do on either side. We also have the logos for the Jackson Street Pier on one side and the Mylander Pavilion on the other.
It's just a shame because I don't think it'll be well seen from where it is, or where it's being recommended. But it is what it is.
I thank you, Mr. Crable. I looked at it from a signed person's perspective, and I think it's a perfect canvas for to put the mural on that side. And I think people will people will fall in love with the idea of using it as a photo opportunity. And perhaps we can do just some slight graphics pointing that way, might be helpful too. I just think, I know you move around the pier, people move around the pier lot, they're gonna walk through there and figure it out themselves. I wouldn't waste a lot of money on graphics, but might not, never waste it on graphics, but it might be a good idea to just have a sign somewhere saying that.
It is very visible from westbound traffic, and then with the steps, there's some steps between that building and the Beckling. We thought that'd be a good spot for people to sit and take pictures and have in front of.
Great, thank you. Yep. Additional comments or questions, Commissioner? Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 4. That would be ordinance number 1.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to accept grant funds in the amount of $250,000 from the Ohio Department of Development through the Energy Efficiency Program for the Ohio Communities Grant, authorizing the city manager to execute any grant agreements and to expend the funds consistent with the grant agreement, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance pursuant to Section 14 of the city's charter. Specifically, that's item number 1, or ordinance number 1 under item number 4.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
this is a great grant to get, and I just hats off to the staff who just keeps finding opportunities to obtain grants, and they just do a wonderful job, and this is one more example of that, so thanks.
Additional comments, Commissioners? Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington? Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 4, ordinance number 2.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Amoresco Incorporated of Worthington, Ohio, for the implementation of the LED lighting project relating to the Energy Efficiency Program for Ohio Communities Grant through the Ohio Department of Development for Energy Conservation and Facility Improvement Measures for certain city buildings, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Meyer.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance number 2 under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Th-
Mr. Crable.
Quick question. This is for lighting inside or outside of our existing buildings?
Who has the answer for that? Mr. Worley? I never remember you getting so much airtime.
And is this replacement lighting or is it new lighting?
It is new bulbs, the LED lighting bulbs for the facilities inside greenhouse, fire stations 1 and 3, the service center, Mills Creek Golf Course, I believe that's inside the clubhouse, the outdoor lighting at JC North, and lighting at the Paper District Marina.
Okay. Do we work with them to specify the Kelvin, the temperature of the lights?
I believe so, yes, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
I have some thoughts on it, but we don't need to go over it right here, right now, so.
Additional comments or questions for Mr. Worling? Mr. Worling, you can sit down now.
For now.
Mr. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Jolly?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 5, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Progressive Cleaning Solutions Incorporated of Sandusky, Ohio, for cleaning services at the Justice Center located at 222 Meg Street, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Coon.
move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules as contained in accordance with section of the City Charter 14, Section 14.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion.
I think Mr. Whirling needs to come back up.
Mr. Rowan, can you come back up? Any questions? Any questions on this issue, Commissioners? Ms. Byers, you call a roll on that motion, please.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. That concludes our regular agenda. We'll turn to our city manager for his report.
Good evening, Commissioners, audience, and staff. First, I'd like to recognize the loss of Andy Dunn, March 19, 2011. There's several of you commissioners that have been on when that happened. I know the chief, at my request when I was overseeing the Detective Bureau, was the lead investigator for that case, and we still have some officers down there that have been there. So if everybody could keep the Dunn family in their thoughts and prayers of the next week, I'd appreciate it. And so that kicks off our first donation. $100 for the police department was received from the Hank Soloway family in memory of Officer Andy Dunn. His family's donated to the police department in his memory since 2012. So if I get a motion to accept that donation.
So moved.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved with our thanks to the Hank Soloway family.
I got two for the Sandusky Fire. Would like to thank Liz Murray for donating 8 smoke detectors to be dispersed to community members in need. And second, from Mark Advertising for donating 100 stickers to the fire department, of the fire department patch to label residential lock boxes. I'll get a motion to accept those 2 donations.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved with our thanks.
Okay, then for forestry, Betsy and Tim Berkey donated $235 to cover the wholesale cost of the chinkapin oak tree that will be planted by forestry in their boulevard this spring. If I can get a motion to accept that donation.
So moved.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved with our thanks to Mr. Berkey.
Thanks, and I got several from Parks and Rec. Thank Brett Charville for his generous donation of $5,000 for the 2024 continuation of the Midtown Supper Club program. The donation will be used for staffing and supplies. The award-winning program will be held on March 25th at 5:30 at Mills Rec. Also thank the following individuals for their donations of a dinner table of numerous seats for Midtown Supper Club. Pat Shenago and the Erie County Health Department each donated a table valued at $220. Mary Jane Holler donated 10 seats valued at $300. And the last, or 2 more, Joanna Powers for her donation of 8 large potted plants to the greenhouse. And I'd like to thank Parkview Place for their generous donation of $1,012.68 towards youth programming at Sandusky Rec. If I get a motion for all of those donations.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Our thanks to all of those people.
Thank you. I'd like to request a motion to affirm the appointment of Kizar Peterson to serve as a volunteer member of the Erie Metropolitan Housing Authority Board. Ms. Peterson will be filling out the remainder of a term that will expire December 8th, 2024. If I could just add to that, the previous person that was on that, whoever serves on the board has to, or on this position, has to be in their program, and the other person is doing so well that they are no longer on the program, so it's a success story, so they're requesting to fill that position, so.
Good story. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Myers, I'll ask you to call the roll on that motion.
Mr. Crable?
Aye.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That motion is approved.
On Wednesday, March 20th, from 5 to 8 p.m., Sandusky Fire Department will be offering a community CPR class at Station 1. This class is the first of 4 quarterly CPR classes for Sandusky residents and businesses. The American Heart Association equates bystander CPR prior to EMS arrival as a major factor in people surviving a cardiac emergency. Call the Fire Prevention Bureau, 419-627-5823, for more information or to register. For Public Works, the city has been awarded $125,000 in grant funding from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Ohio's Urban Forestry Grant Program that would provide funding to plant trees throughout the South Side neighborhood in coordination with the MacArthur Park project for park and utility improvements. The city has been designated a Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation for the 33rd consecutive year. This program is a great opportunity to celebrate the importance of an urban tree canopy and bring attention to the vital purpose of trees. Thank you to our Forestry Division and Tree Commission for their hard work and dedication. And we are excited to announce that Public Works crews are developing timelines for de-winterization. Once finalized, we will keep Commission and residents updated. The first one out of the gate will be to remove the barriers on Cleveland Road near Cedar Point Drive, which I have to explain to people all the time. The Planning Division, the Community Development is seeking City Commission approval to apply for a 2024 AARP Community Challenge Flagship Project Grant to fund a shade structure at the Sandusky Wills Park. If received, the grant would support the installation of the shade structure in the beginner area of the park design to maximize its benefit for intergenerational families to enjoy the park. The AARP Challenge Grant Program grants up to $50,000 nationwide on an annual basis. If received, this would add funds to the overall project and not replace any city funds expected to be allocated toward the project. I would like a motion for Planning Division to apply for the AARP Community Flagship Grant.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajala.
Mr. Orzak, you said that was a shade structure?
Shade structure, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, was it Lee Weber?
Ms. Marzia, call a roll on that motion, please.
Mr. Crable?
Excuse me, we have a question?
One of the residents had brought this grant opportunity to us, Lee Weber, so we appreciate his continuing to keep us informed on things.
Okay. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington? Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That motion is passed.
And the last thing is the citywide cleanup event will be on Saturday, April 20th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It will be held at the Shelby Street Boat Launch Overflow Parking Lot. This event is open to all City of Sandusky residents. A photo ID is required. More information will be posted at thecityofsandusky.com. That concludes my reports. I'll take any questions.
Questions for the city manager, Commissioner? Any items of old business, Commissioners? Items of old business? Items of new business, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wright.
I distributed to all of my colleagues earlier today a letter that Mr. Orzak might be able to send to the Ohio Historical Connection in connection with an historical marker that would be at the American Cran site. A former resident of the community, and actually one of my high school classmates, wrote a book. You may have seen it in the paper, The Capital Color of the World. Great story about American Cran and the history there. And incidentally, he has amassed an enormous collection of American Cran paraphernalia products, whatever you want to call them. And he has donated those to the Sandusky Library, the Follow House specifically, with the hopes that those might someday be stored if we are able to construct the rec center and there'd be a display there so they could be seen. So he has a lot invested in this, and he went out and he found the funding to install an historical marker, which it can be pretty expensive. There are certain minimal requirements that go along with the Historical Society being willing to place the marker at the site, and the letter that I provided all of you outlines what those are. They seem pretty reasonable, and Mr. Orzak asked for a motion to support sending this letter, so this is that motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Great idea.
Super.
Ms. Marzia, call roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington? Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That motion is passed. Additional items of new business. I have two items. I need a motion to set a public hearing on 4/22 for the 2024 through 2028 CDBG Consolidated Plan. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion.
This is on the
Marge, you call the roll on that, Mr. Crable?
on the 22nd?
On the 22nd, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Myers, you call the roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That motion is passed, and I know you're frantically looking at your calendars. That is a commission, that date is a commission date, so I'm counting on you being here. Mr. Crable and Ms. Varno. A second public hearing that I will ask for a motion is on the 2024 Annual Action Plan.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you call a roll on that motion, please.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That motion is passed. And again, that's on the same date, on the 22nd. So I'm counting on you both being here for that meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Coons?
I was about to get in, but you said you had two items.
That was two of them, two public hearings.
Were you finished?
I'm finished.
Okay. I wanted to get this on the table because it's something that I've talked about. I think I've talked about this with each and every commissioner here, maybe with the exception of Commissioner Waddington. I haven't. And I said it previously that I think it's one of those conversations that we can't avoid because it's so important. And I was having a discussion with Kate Vargo about affordable housing, and I thought that she had an excellent idea, and it fell right in line with something that I've been working on, and that is to basically plan for an affordable housing expo of some type where we give information to the residents, we find out what their stories are as it relates to being able to find apartments. Those who say, you know what, I really want to have a first-time home. I want to be a homeowner. And doing all of these things that we can to find out what the current situation is in the state of Sandusky as it relates to affordable housing. I think it's really important to know who they are because when I talk to individuals, they don't even know anything about land bank opportunities. And I believe that if we show that kind of commitment to the residents, when we come into a pass where there's this difficulty in making certain decisions, I think the people trust us more. And I think that we can't avoid this any longer. It's just something that tears at my heart because I see these folks. And I know that they're good people who work hard every day. They get paychecks every week or every other week. They don't get any kind of voucher, right? We have young people, you know, some of them are families. You know, we talk about daughters, sons, grandchildren who come back, and we want to be able to provide for them or give them the opportunity to be able to find affordable apartments or build homes, preferably those who start out maybe a two-bedroom. I just felt like that was a great idea by Commissioner Vargo, and I told her at the time, I'd be willing to partner with you. I think Commissioner Crable chimed in because we had that conversation as well, and I just think it's time to try to do the very best we can to address that issue.
Excellent, excellent idea. Mr. Murray?
You've only reminded me like 4 times to make this motion. I don't know why you think I'm going to forget.
I wasn't sure you were awake.
So
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we hold an executive session on land acquisition.
Is there a
Second.
I think I heard a second.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Myers, you call a roll in that executive session.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady? Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
That executive session is set. Any additional items of new business, Commissioner? Any public comments on any item that pertains to city business? Please step to the podium, share with us your name and address. We'll ask you to keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I forgot to give my name last time, so I'll give it this time. Tim Schwanger, 362 Sheffield Way, Sandusky. I understand that the skate park, which I've been involved in for several years, the bid came in over the original engineer's estimate. Anybody care to maybe give an update on the skate park, the future of the skate park? I mean, I know you don't have to answer today, but it's kind of an important issue. If you could give somebody a direction to answer that question.
I think we can get that answer for you,
Okay.
and we'll get it to you.
Okay, I'll share that with everybody else. I will be sending an email to the city manager, again, going back to the item on bar 44870 on the liquor license. I didn't quite get an answer on how this fits in with 2 years ago when we asked for a public hearing, and I don't know if a public hearing was ever held. If y'all were determined that we can't do anything about a public hearing, or maybe we made the wrong decision back in October of 2022? 2022.
What decision are you referring to?
Well, there was a liquor license that was applied for the same building, Crimus Building, last year, in 2022 in October. And you guys denied that and requested a public hearing for that liquor license. Don't know if a liquor license public hearing was ever held, or if they just dropped it, and now they're applying for another liquor license for that same building under a different name.
I think what's happened, and purely conjecture on my part, but I believe that what's happened is there is a new person applying for that liquor license. So I think I explained earlier, we don't have a basis to object to that.
Right. And I don't think the reason to hold a public hearing was necessarily to object to it and have it turned down. That's what's not clear. Why you guys asked for a public hearing in 2022 for the same building, even though it's a different person, this time it's still the same circumstance. We don't have a project, unless you guys know something different.
Yeah, having a project, I don't think has any bearing on someone obtaining a liquor license. I can't speak for why it was.
I get you. I'm just trying to compare what the difference is today compared to 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwank. Additional comments from the audience on any item that pertains to city business?
Catherine Carter, 5309 Columbus Avenue. Hi. You guys are all new since a long time ago that I was here. When it comes to these things with the pier and the parking and downtown and wherever else they're going to do some work, it always turns into a us and them situation, and it's not that way. Does everything need updating? Yes. Did Jackson Street Pier need work? Yes. But when you start pushing parking around, I come downtown and lollygag around and go from store to store, but if I want to come downtown and I want to run into Tony's, or I want to run in someplace else because they're having a special fish or something else, I don't want to park in the parking garage on the second floor and walk down there and walk over there. I want to go in, get it, and go. I'll park in the parking garage when the State Theater's open. I always did. But I just think that's a lot of cars being removed to put picnic tables and stuff up the street. If you don't put picnic tables out in front of every store, that's not going to stop the progress of this city. Everything is going to expand, it's blooming, it's going, it's working. But when you had people come in, if I wanted to put a patio on a public sidewalk, I had to go to the city to ask, how can I do this? Can I do this size and that size? And if you okayed it, and now people can't pass each other on the sidewalk, or they have to walk over a tree well, that's you guys something that somebody else approved. Now it makes it something that has to be changed again. I stay. I don't understand why you put so much money into Jackson Street parking lot, and now you're going to tear it all up for something else. So plans change, because that was supposed to be the convenient parking for the pier. Where is that parking going to go? Those people don't want to be unloading cars with children and buggies and backpacks and everything else in a parking garage. They need long-term parking someplace where they can go to the islands and spend the day. I hope when you do this landscaping, you don't put these little skinny $200 trees down there. Spend the money, $1,000 a tree or more. Take donations if you have to. I don't know. Dedicate it to somebody. Put some big trees down there, because Some people may not be here by the time they can give shade off these trees. We're all getting slower up the hill. You were talking about housing. I stated at a meeting someplace else that I just saw it on a stock market channel 2 months ago. 70% of the housing in this country is owned by people that are 65 and older. 70% of it. They don't want to move. It's either paid off or they've got a 3% interest loan, and they don't want to go. So it's like the plug in the bottle is the 70%. And if you get them to sell their homes so that people can move up, they have to go into a place that's what they want. It accommodates them. It accommodates maybe the things that they can't do before. Maybe they're in wheelchairs now. Maybe they're worried about being in a wheelchair. Maybe they don't want to do this. I had someone approach me to sell my house to them. It's a big house, and it's like the house I have, but they have 2.5 acres. They like my lot. They don't want to downsize into a smaller house. They want a smaller lot instead. If you can get the people that have that 4-bedroom house to sell and go to a house that equates to what they want, so they can still continue to do what they've done all their life, or save their money to pay for the traveling, or maybe they've got a kayak, or maybe they want to be able to take a golf cart down to Plumbrook or something, or Mills Creek. They want to have that stuff on their property. If they could move, then the people with a 4-bedroom house could move up, and then the people that had the 4 kids that thought they were going to have 2, they can move into the 4-bedroom house, and then the people that are still in their starter homes can move up, and the renters can move into the starter homes. I think the plug is at the top. I don't think the problem is the problem is at the bottom because it's backing up. So I think if you can get something that's acceptable for the seniors to move into instead of a 1-bedroom house with a little thing here and a 1-car garage, they need 2-car garages. Parkview is still sitting on the same ones they built several years ago. And the first thing they get asked every time, according to what they've told us, when are you going to build something with a 2-car garage? You may only be one person with a 1-car garage. Maybe you want someplace to put your motorcycle or your kayak or whatever else you do. Am I over? Oh, well. It's my first time back. I'm out of practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Buchanan.
just a comment. The housing study that ECADEC did, one of my questions was, did you factor in the age of people in this community? Because as you mentioned, the plug with the housing, eventually that housing's going to turn over due to everybody's age. So eventually I think there will be a break in housing, and there'll be more housing on the market available, but it may not be soon enough. Just a comment.
Additional comments from residents on items pertaining to city business. We will move to executive session. Stay. We returned from executive session at 7:42, and I will ask for a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second discussion. Hearing no objection, would you call the roll to call the roll of the commission, Stuart?
Sure. Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Mr. Kuntz?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Jolly?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington? Yes.
That motion carries. I will ask